reasons. For instance, Muslim sources report that Muhammad once delivered what are now called the Satanic Verses to his followers. These verses promoted prayers to three pagan goddesses, Alat, Alusa, and Manat. Muhammad bowed down in honor of these polytheistic verses, and his followers bowed down with him. But a little later, Gabriel confronted Muhammad about his sin. Muhammad confessed in the History of At-Tabari, Volume 6, page 111, "I have fabricated things against God and have imputed to him words which he has not spoken." So Muhammad admitted that he delivered a revelation that didn't really come from God. Why is this important? Well, in Deuteronomy 18, verse 20, God declares, "But a prophet who presumes to speak in my name anything I have not commanded, or a prophet who speaks in the name of other gods, is to be put to death." Muslims claim that they respect Moses. But if Muhammad had delivered the Satanic Verses during the time of Moses, Moses would have ordered the people to pick up stones and stone him to death as the most obvious false prophet in history. Muhammad didn't realize this due to his lack of familiarity with the Jewish scriptures, which is why the motto of Islam has always been and always will be, ignorance is bliss.
Okay, so we get the so faster than you could say mental hospitals disable dead kids and hammers. David keeps bringing up the Satanic Verses over and over again. So again, please excuse this type of amateur video. I don't have time to, make a full length, rebuttal to this video. So this is just my quick rebuttal because I'm very busy with work. But anyways, I just want to talk about how the Satanic Verses is false. Now, the Satanic Verses story has been refuted for the past, 12, 15 years by Muslim apologists. And I've made a lot of videos talking about the Satanic Verses, but since this is David Wood's latest video, let's refute it for, the fifth time for, just to show that David Wood's not getting away with this argument, in today, in, modern times. Ibn Ishaq himself said that the story is fabricated. If you read Al-Bayal, Tafsir, volume 7, page 526, Ibn Ishaq says that Satanic Verses is a fabrication from the heretics, and he wrote a whole book on the issue. But then David Wood quotes Al-Tabari. Now, Ibn Ishaq and Al-Tabari do report the Satanic Verses story. So I'm surprised David Wood didn't mention Ibn Ishaq, in this segment of the video. He just mentions Al-Tabari. But even if you want to go with Al-Tabari warns people that his books are filled with weak and authentic stories. In the History of Al-Tabari, Volume 1, pages 171 to 173. So Al-Tabari is basically warning people that, his books don't have 100% true stories in them. There are true stories and false stories in the history of, or what Al-Tabari was writing down. But to go further than this, Al-Tabari mentions the Satanic Verses story, and if you check out the isnad or the chain of transmission of the story has several weak and unreliable narrators in the story, so that automatically invalidates the story. Regardless, even the Satanic Verses story has been proven false over and over and over again. For example, Ibn Hajar, in his book, Ibn Hajar says that the Satanic Verses story is false. Ibn Jawad said that the Satanic Verses story is false, etc., etc. Al-Razi, a classical Muslim scholar, says the story is false and it's a fabrication that didn't have a proper chain of transmission. In his commentary on the Quran, volume 11, page 135, Ibn Hazm says that the Satanic Verses story is a forgery and there's no reliable chain of transmission for it. In Ibn Hazm al-Fazil al-Fanan, volume 2, page 308 and 309, etc., etc. So several classical Muslim scholars, Ibn Hajar, Ibn Kathir, Ibn Jawaz, Ibn Hazm, all these Muslim scholars have said that the Satanic Verses story is false because it didn't reach us with the proper chain of transmission, or there's unreliable narrators who are narrating the story. So people were lying about the Prophet Muhammad during his time. Of course, they're going to lie about the Prophet Muhammad after his death. And the Satanic Verses is a fabricated story, or it's a made-up story that made it into the history books of the history of Al-Tabari. But again, Al-Tabari wasn't doing any kind of fact-checking. He was just writing down anything he heard from anybody, as Al-Tabari warns people that his books are filled with weak and authentic narrations, like I said in the beginning of the video. But my point is that according to Muslim scholars, both classical and modern scholars, the Satanic Verses story is false. It's a fabricated story. It's not true. It is a complete bullshit story that El-Tabari wrote down. But David Wood, being, the moron that he is, or the idiot that he is, David Wood doesn't do any kind of fact checking. He just reads something off Muslim sources and just takes it as gospel, takes it as fact. He's not doing any kind of fact checking. David Wood just, whatever makes the Prophet Muhammad look bad, David Wood would just take it and throw it out there without verifying whether it's reliable according to other Muslim scholars, saying this story is not reliable according to other Muslim scholars. So the Satanic Verses story is a bullshit made-up story by the heretics, according to even early Muslim scholars rejected that story, but they still wrote it down just because they wanted to collect anything they heard, any kind of story about the Prophet Muhammad. They just wanted to collect it and write it down without verifying whether it's true or not, or without doing any kind of fact checking. So this is kind of the problem with David Wood. Doesn't know how to do history. I mean, he doesn't understand the historical method. Just because something is early, it doesn't mean it's reliable. So just because the Satanic Verses story is early, it doesn't mean it's reliable, or it doesn't mean it's been reliably transmitted down to us, or it doesn't mean it's a true story from reliable witnesses or reliable narrators. So the Satanic Verses story is false. Classical Muslim scholars reject it. Modern Muslim scholars reject it. Hell, even early Muslim scholars like Ibn Ishaq, who wrote the earliest biography of the Prophet Muhammad, rejected that story, but still wrote it down just to collect any kind of story about the Prophet Muhammad. So this is just my 2 cents on the whole Satanic Verses story. It's false, and David Wood knows it's false, but he'll still he'll repeat that story until he dies, because David Wood is basically running out of arguments against Islam. This shows how desperate he is, because we all know David Wood's the big attention seeker, and he'll do anything to get attention, even if it's repeating decades-old refuted material about the Prophet Muhammad. Stay tuned, more videos refuting David Wood coming up. Hopefully I can edit this on my computer if I find time. Right now I'm busy with work, but hopefully, inshallah, I'll be able to make more videos, or edit more videos on a computer. Thank you.